And welcome to the Creabea Knitting Podcast. Hello, welcome. My name's Rebecca, I'm the Creabea, and this is a vlog or a podcast all about knitting, what I'm currently knitting on, what I've been knitting on, and what I'd like to cast on in the not too distant future. And I've got it all today. I've got some finished objects, I've got some new cast-ons, I've got some acquisitions, I went to a yarn festival, so I've got that to talk about, and I'm excited. I've been trying to find some time to film all weekend. It is Sunday morning, it is 9 AM, and this is the only time I can squeeze it in. So I am ready. I'm filming in a slightly different location today, and that is because I normally film in my office, and my office is so messy. I started a deep clean, and the word there is started, because I've not finished it. There is yarn everywhere, and I could either use the time this morning to finish tidying my office or to sit down and film. And the rest is history. So I'm in my bedroom today. I think it should be fine sound and things wise. It's very bright, which will hopefully be good, but I'm just pre-warning you anyway. Let's see, what do we have? Well, what am I wearing? I'm wearing my Corran Cardigan. This is one of my most worn knits, and I've not worn it on the podcast for ages because I always have something new and shiny to show, and I do have new and shiny things today, but I thought it would be fun to show something that is of the weather at the moment. This is my, as soon as it gets to that time of the year where like I'm not wearing a sweater non-stop every single day, or at the summertime when like it's starting to feel that tiny bit of chill in the air, this is my go-to, and it is this sample. It's my orange sample, and I love it. My Corran came out 2 years ago, and it is a cardigan with this all over mesh stitch, and it comes in round neck and v-neck and short sleeve and long sleeve. So this is my round neck. I say round neck, I never wear these buttons buttoned up, I always wear it open, and my long sleeve version, and this one is knit in Cascade 220, and I think the colour Jack-o'-lantern, I think. And like I say, I wear it all the time, probably once a week, and it's my go-to of like, I don't know what to wear today, but I want to feel kind of put together, I don't want to wear a knit, I'll wear my Corran. Okay, so I have, because I'm filming in here, I packed my laundry basket full of all my things to talk about, and I started unpacking them and didn't get very far. So I've got, I'm actually not going to talk about that whip because it's not had very much progress. 1, 2, 3, 4 works in progress. Is that all? Feels like there should be more. 4 works in progress, 2 finished objects, and some acquisitions. So it might be a brief episode today. I really wanted to film because I feel like I've only been coming on recently to film an episode when I've either got a test call or a pattern launch, and it was just feeling, it's not inauthentic, it's still me talking about my knits, but I just felt like I was always pushing something. So I thought it'd be fun to come on and just talk about what's currently going on, and I don't have a pattern release, I don't have a test call, I have none of those things today. So I'm missing a bag. I feel like I'm missing something. Maybe not. Okay, let's start with finished objects. So this feels silly to show because the test call is not going to be for like 3 months and the pattern's not coming out until October. But it's finished, and I did say I'm going to stop sharing these so far in advance on Instagram, but I'm not going to stop sharing them so far in advance on YouTube because I like chatting on YouTube, and that's what we're going to do today. So this is my Affric sweater. Affric is there's a beautiful walking route in Scotland called the Affric Kintail Way. It's also one of the largest and most stunning forest areas of Scotland, and this sweater really makes you think of like autumn forests. So I was looking up some of the best forestry in Scotland, and this came up pretty high. So here she is. Oh, I love her so much. It's blowing out a little bit. It is a raglan sweater with these 2 different motifs. It's a 17 stitch gauge, it's nice and cozy. I knit this sample in Gepard Pura Lana, held with Gepard Mohair. It's a pricey option. Put it out there, it's stunning. I would knit it again, but I have got a few options for particularly a second sample that doesn't have that strand of mohair, because it does just make everything a bit more expensive. But the colours I think are stunning. So the background is grey, which I was quite interested in because I think I do background, or like I think a lot of the time with colour work you do a background of white, and I wanted, or like an off-white, and I thought let's change it up a little bit. Also, the off-white was out of stock when I ordered. And they didn't have it, they only had like one ball, so I bought the one ball, and they had way more of the grey. Then there's this beautiful like brownie, oh I shouldn't show you that one because that's actually the one motif I made a mistake on. There's this like brown cognac-y colour, and then there's the off-white cream which is called Oats, which is the only colourway name I remember from these, and I love the name of it so much. And then this dark sort of, it's a charcoal grey in the middle. You could, so I've used 4 colours, but you could use your main colour as that middle contrast and just make it 3 colours. I guess you could technically, no, not really. Yeah, that would be your best bet. You could make that one your contrast. I don't know if you can, so if you look at this one, there's a white bump in between the blacks, and on this one I accidentally used the brown. So I might duplicate stitch over it, but I might leave it because I kind of like it. Like I kind of like that there's a mistake in there that I don't think is super obvious, but I know is there. It's got shortware shaping, and the raglan is worked into the stitch pattern a little bit, so they kind of meld in, which I quite like. And yeah, it is. It's all done. I washed and blocked it beautifully. I will say the sleeves have gotten a little long, but I make my sleeves quite short by standard. I mean, yeah, like a bracelet length sleeve. So these sleeves are a little long, but I don't particularly mind. And what I think I'll do is I'll keep wearing it, and if it really is stopping me from wearing it, I will. I've got a little bit of plain knitting between there. It's probably only 2 centimeters too short, so if worst case scenario, I'll take it back on the 2 sleeves and redo the ribbing. But I'll wear it first, although I'm not going to wear it for a while because it's 17 stitch gauge wool alpaca and mohair. It is a toasty sweater. That being said, we've got glorious sunshine today. I do believe it's going to get pretty cold again in the next couple of weeks, so maybe this will get a cheeky little wear between now and then. I love it so much. I absolutely love it. It feels like quite a little bit out of my comfort zone, something that I don't normally do, but I think I've shared a few times that I really wanted to do raglan. I love raglans. I've got a new construction today that I've been trying out. It's something different, but I do just love, I love the simplicity of a raglan. I love the moment when you finish the short row shaping and you're joined in the round and all your knitting is in the round from there on out. I love it. So I'm really glad to have done a colourwork raglan. And I really like, I think this is a kind of, if I think about things like the Norma sweater or like the Petite Knit Key sweater, I think that there are quite a lot of sweaters out there coming out with like the raglan, with the sort of bands of colourwork. But I like that there are 2 different bands. Like there's this one and there's one on the bottom. This one is much more fun to knit. This one like flew, and this one for some reason is only a few extra rows, but by the last row I was like, oh thank god it's done. So yeah, I'm already looking forward to casting on the second sample, but it's going to be a while because we're not on any rush around here. I'm just trying to get ahead of the game so that I'm on top of things when it comes around. The pattern is written up, the pattern is with my tech editor, and I think the test call is coming. I think the test call will be July to October. Is that right? I think like the first week of, oh no, June. The first week of June, July. Yeah, to the first week of September or something like that. It's a full 3 months. 3 months. So more than that to come, but it will be quite a while still. So yeah, it feels a bit redundant showing you, but I couldn't help it because I love it so much. I think I shared last time, I've currently got 3 of my like autumnal projects on the needles. So that was my first one and it's off. I've got a cable knit sweater, which will be the next one to finish, and I've got a Henley. And I finished the body of the cable knit and the body of the Henley's almost done. I've lost my 4mm shorty tips and I have 2 sets and I've lost them both. They'll show up, but I've ordered another pair because like having an extra pair is not the end of the world. So I've ordered some more, and once I've got them I'll be able to power through the sleeves. Hopefully maybe this week I'll get the sleeves done on my cable knit, or at least one sleeve. The sleeves of this took no time. They're 17 stitches. They flew. I felt we weren't very well last week. Both of us got wiped out, Sam and I, with some kind of cold flu virus of some kind, and the last day of it I was like in my chair with like a Netflix true crime documentary from 9 AM, and by 1 PM it was on the walking mats with my second sleeve. So the second sleeve didn't take very long at all. So I'm trying to try them out ultimately. Cable knit is next, and that's because the cable knit still needs a vest version, and I've not even started that, and I need to make sure I get on that one. And then the Henley, I think it'll actually be the start of 2026, which is ridiculous, but the Henley's got a few samples, a few like options too. There's going to be a textured and a non-textured. So ultimately I'm just trying to get ahead of the game, which is maybe a little bit silly, but it's where we're at. So that one's finished. Now I have a slightly more approachable, I don't know if that's the word, relevant finished object up next. I've been deep in my summer knit phase. We had this like flash of hot weather and now I have a load of summer knits on my needles. So I have two already in testing, the Staff and Light and the Lusk Tee. The Lusk Tee is like a drop shouldered version of my toaster. And I have one more coming out this summer and I think this is it. And so my sample is all done. This is the Gress tee, Gress. I love it so much, absolutely so much. I feel like when I get into it, you'll see I've got another project that I'm really inspired by crochet, and I love what crochet looks like in summer knits, but I think firstly it's quite heavy, and secondly I don't really crochet. So I feel like a lot of my stitch patterns have been kind of inspired by what crochet could look like, and this is this fun mesh interwoven with some bands of garter stitch. Really fun to knit, just yarn over knit two togethers, like nothing hard. It's lace, but it's not hard lace. And it's got set-in sleeves. Now the sleeves in the pattern are going to be a little different because I went through the whole thing with this. Oh, firstly, the yarn is Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino held double in the colour Natural. It's like a yellow white. It's blowing out quite a lot on screen. It looks white. It's definitely more on the yellow side, like that kind of, yeah, natural colour, like that undyed sort of beige yellow as opposed to like a bright white. But I'm happy with that because I think I'll wear it a lot. Someone suggested, I mean I wear this as a camisole underneath, someone suggested wearing it with like a bright camisole, like a pop of green or like a pink or something, and that'd be so cool. But for the meantime I'll probably just wear a white one because I'm a little bit boring, I suppose. The sleeves are set-in sleeves, however I knit them the first time and I did what I would usually do for a seamless set-in sleeve, which is to pick up around the sleeve and then work to the top of the sleeve and then start working short rows. However, what happened is I had like half the sleeve had this one band of stock of like knits that weren't in pattern because I'd picked up all the way around and then I'd worked halfway to the top. So what I did with this one is I cast on at the top and I worked the sleeve flat and then joined in the round and then seamed the sleeve on. However, I didn't want to have a seamed sleeve. So when I submitted the pattern to my tech editor, I was like, just a quick check, like, do you have any ideas about this? And she said, well, why don't you pick up and then break the yarn and then go back to the top of the needle and work from there. Genius. I love working with people who are smarter than me. It makes my job so much easier. So there is no seaming in the final pattern, but it will, like, the numbers are all the same, so it'll look like this. I think my seaming's pretty neat. I'm not at all worried about it. I think if you were to look up real clothes and personal, like, it might not be the neatest, but I do prefer picking up stitches. It's just my preferred way of doing it, and I'm not a huge, I don't really mind seaming stockinette, but seaming and pattern I think can be kind of scruffy. So I'm glad to have had another option. It's got a fun, it's like a trapeze back, so you like start and then increase out, so you end up with this fun little like framing on the shoulders in the garter. Yeah, I really like it. I'm really pleased with it. So the pattern is with Tech, DK and 4-ply. I think I'm just going to try and do that with all summer patterns moving forward because I don't live in a part of the world where I could get more wear out of 4-ply, but I don't, like, I'm happy with DK and I prefer knitting in DK. However, I know that for summer knits and for people in warmer climates, they want the option of 4-ply, so I'm just going to keep making everything in 4-ply and DK. Why not? Probably not for winter knits, but definitely for summer knits. So if I think about it, yeah, my next 4 patterns will all have DK and 4-ply options. So I'll jump into my whips because my first whip is actually my second sample, and this is what happened. Is I got really, I'm in my set-in sleeve era. Last year I was in my drop shoulder era, and now my set-in sleeve era. I don't know what will come next, but this is where I'm at. What I wanted was the option of you add the sleeve or you just add ribbing and you make it a vest, because we all know I love an option. So this is my t-shirt sample, but I'm currently working on the vest sample. I'm not very far. I finished the back panel. I need to sort of get a move on and work on the front shoulders because I guess my test call for this is coming in 2 weeks. So I should get this finished. I've been distracted by other fun things though. So I am using, it's really, the magic of blocking is a real factor in this because it's lace and just looks a bit rubbish before it's been blocked. This is the back panel of my second sample. This will be my vest version. And I'm using Gepard Wool 3, I think it's called. Maybe Wool Cotton 3. But it's a Gepard cotton and wool blend. And I'm holding a double. And it's this really fun like chartreuse colour, which is really the colour of last summer, but I'm still vibing with it, so we're going to stick with it. And it's in my favourite bag, which is this one that was gifted to me forever ago from Apollonie. This is my bag that I put everything in. If it's never empty, because as soon as it's finished, I put something else into it. But they sent me this and some stitch markers, gosh, like 2 years ago. They've never brought them back in stock. They have other beautiful bags on their website. This is how it's spelled. Apollonie. They're a French company. But yeah, they've never brought them back in stock with the same fabric. And every time they do a bag drop, I check. So yeah, it's looking good. This is the back panel. A lot of the things, it's funny with summer knits, is that I find that it's a constant game of knit some, block some, knit some, block some, because if it's lace, lace just changes its mind. And like cotton can stretch, but then wool, I don't know, it's a bit all over the place. So I feel like with everything I'm like triple checking it. But this is in a pretty good place right now. So I will get going, I'll pick up from the shoulders, and I think it'll go pretty quickly from there, but I probably should get going on this again pretty soon. I think I finished it last weekend and I've not touched it since. That is what number 1. Where to next? You can tell everything's in a very summery bag at the moment. Okay, let's sandwich my unsuccessful whip in my 2 successful whips. So I'm working on another sample of my Lusk Tee. So Lusk is, I went to a really good gathering last week and somebody called me the Toaster Lady, and sorry, there's something in my eye. I think it's gone. At the really good gathering, last weekend somebody called me the Toaster Lady, and I have no qualms being called the Toaster Lady. I love that. A bit unfortunate because I'm not from Toaster, but I'll take the name. And the Toaster is absolutely by miles my best-selling pattern, and I love it because I feel like it really embodies a lot of what I do as a designer, and that some people have made like 10 versions. A lot of people have made more than one, and I feel like it's just really good value for your money, and it fits a need in the wardrobe, and like I just love that people like the Toaster. Not everyone likes the Toaster, but I love that people like it. So last year I decided, so let's see, 2 years ago was a Toaster, last year was a Toaster tank, this year is a drop shouldered equivalent. Now it's the same gauge, and I think the gauge is one of the reasons why the Toaster does so well, and it's the reason I made my first sample before I was ever even considering designing, because I wanted a t-shirt that was really drapey but not heavy, and so that's why I knit the Toaster before it was even called a Toaster, because I just wanted a raglan that was easy to wear and that was like nice and breezy. And it's knitted at 17 stitch gauge, but it's DK weight summer yarn. So it doesn't end up wholey, but it ends up really drapey. And a lot of the time if you use something like a linen or like a cotton blend, it can end up with this really like lovely drapey fabric. So that's the magic of it, I think. And I think with the Toaster, some of the magic is the fact it's a raglan. But I started then last year working on, well, last year I made a sample of a drop shouldered equivalent using some of my favourite elements of drop shoulder. So I love a drop shoulder where you have not a dramatic drop, but a short drop and then some short row shaping. And I love shaping on the back, and yeah, I included some things that I love the most about a drop shoulder, and that is called my Lusk Tee, L-U-S-K. It's technically short for Luskentire, which is also a beach in the Outer Hebrides, but Lusk is a bit snappier. And I'm always paranoid that I'm going to name something a name and no one's going to be able to pronounce it, and Lusk felt easier than Luskentire. Although Luskentire is a pretty straightforward one. It says like it's sound. Wow. It sounds like it's written, is what I was trying to say. So, the testnet is well underway. The testnet started quite a while ago. This pattern comes out in like in May. I think the end of May, but May. And it was a 14-week test, so yeah, I think we're like 8 weeks into the testnet. People have finished their first, people are on to their second, which is quite fun to see. And I have 2 samples already. I have my sample from last year, which I did make some fit changes to after wearing it all summer. I just shortened the armhole. I found that the armhole just got too deep. I did it like I would do a sweater, which makes sense, but with a sweater generally you're wearing Like I followed my magic numbers, the numbers I like a lot for a drop shoulder fit. But with a sweater, you've got a t-shirt underneath and like, or like a layer. So I reduced the positive ease under the arm. That's the only change I made. And then I made a second sample, which is a black and white stripe version, but I wanted a few more versions. And again, similar to the Tolsta, it's super modifiable. So you can use, I need to work out how to write this in the pattern as well. With the drop shoulder, you work the back first and then you work the front. And the way I have designed this one is that the back seam is actually a little bit further down your back. So it's not right on top of the shoulder, it's further down. So you work more of the front. Why am I showing you this when I've got the wet bright in my hands? So this is the back, and that there is this easier to show this way? Maybe. This is what it looks like, and the shoulder is picked up from all the way back here. So you work more of the front than you work of the back. Now, provided you hit row gauge, the difference of rows between the front and the back is 12 rows. And the 12 is a magic number because that means you can work a 12 stitch repeat, a 6 stitch repeat, a 4 stitch repeat, a 4 stitch repeat or a 2 stitch repeat, or a 3 stitch repeat, like row repeat, and they will all fit into the pattern. So it's not quite as free as the Tolsta, where the Tolsta you can literally do whatever you want, but it means you can still do a lot of different options in terms of modifying. And I want to make sure we can show that off. With the Tolsta I had like a striped and a mohair and a embroidered version and a lace version. So this is my lacy version. Just cast this on last week, and it is a garter bump and some simple knit two together yarn overs. I had a white Tolsta, but my mother has stolen it. My mother has not given it back to me. So I think it's hers now. She sends me a photo of her in it every once in a while. It's very much ingrained in her wardrobe. So this is going to be my replacement for that. And I love like a simple tee with some lace. It's absolutely fun. And I'm doing a garter bump or a yarn over row on the 6th row of every repeat. So my full pattern repeat is technically 12 rows. So I'm still working on the front, but when I get to the point of joining the round, they will magically join the round at the same place in the pattern, which is kind of fun. And then I've got one more stripe version I want to knit, so we're getting there. I'm using Knitting for All Cotton Merino Held Double. It's kind of my go-to summer yarn, and I think I've done well this year trying some new ones, but it's still my favourite and I have a lot in stash, so I'm trying to work through that. I made a big order last year of white, blue and red, which I guess I don't know what I thought I was making with it. I can't remember anymore, but this is the white of it, so I'm working through it. And don't tell me those are my missing needles. No, they're not. Where are they gone? So yeah, that's just churning through. I've not made dramatic progress on it, but it's okay. There's still probably 6 weeks, and I can knit a Lusk in a week, which I know from the very first sample that I made. So I don't know. I'll try and get that one maybe finished by. If I get that one finished by the next episode, that'd be quite nice, and then I'll have another couple of weeks to do the last ones and then to work out pictures. Not gotten that far yet, but that's okay. I'm gonna go straight into my next one, which is another successful whip, and then we'll have to wrap up with an unsuccessful whip, which is a bit of a shame, but it's where we're at. This is what I've been putting all my time into. So it's my magic gauge again. It's my 17 stitch gauge, and it's not perfect. It's a I feel like in sewing we call this a wearable toile, or which is like one where you it's not your perfect material and it's not your perfect fit, but it's good enough to wear, and you'll make your adjustments from there on. And that is how I feel about this one. So I love construction methods. I love looking at construction methods. It's my favorite thing. I kind of geek out about it, and I love like tweaking a construction method to give you what you want. So as I said, I'm kind of in my set and sleeve era, but I knew that there was a type of set and sleeve that I wanted to try. A few years ago I started but didn't get very far. It was when we went skiing, so I think it must have been 2 years ago, because last year we went to New Zealand. So yeah, 2 years ago we went to Italy and went skiing, and I took 2 projects with me. One was my first alter sample and one was this t-shirt, and I used a pattern by, I want to say Asa Tricosa. I'll put her name down below. She has a method called the ziggurat method, and it is a seamless set and sleeve. Now I've tried that before, and I just find you're really tied to the pattern. It's a stunning method. It's very clever. You work like short rows to shape the back and short rows here, and then you've got the sleeve going on and you're picking up. I find that there are two things that I find challenging about it. One is that it doesn't really give you much flexibility because you're really you're tied to like row by row instructions for quite a lot of the beginning of the pattern. And two, I hate the sleeve pickup. I never seem to, I tried then, I tried again now, I couldn't get it right. So I knew that wasn't like, I like the idea of this sort of, I like this way where you start up here and then you're working the set-in sleeves as you're working the body. And I knew there were other methods. Now I have a book that I've had for a while, which I bought secondhand, which is Knitting from the Top by Barbara G. Walker. And I didn't give it much heed when it first arrived because there are a lot of things in there that are not patterns I'm interested in. There's like skirts and waistcoats and trousers, and at the moment in time I have no desire to knit a pair of trousers. I'm not ruling it out in the future, but right now it's not, it's not something I'm champing at the bit for. But what that book is I should get it, but it's down here somewhere. It's a really quite a slim book, and it has in it what is called like basic design. So it's like basic design number 1, basic design number 2. And so it's not, by no means, it's not on a collection of patterns, but it's a collection of overviews of ways to construct a sweater. So like when it comes to a trouser, it'll say like, you must perform a gusset. Start increasing, then start decreasing. Like there are no numbers in there. And I was looking at it for the seamless set-in sleeve, and the seamless set-in sleeve is the method that I would normally use, the method I would use for, what else have I done with it? The Cara wrap or the Cathy cardigan, which is coming out next in 2 weeks. They are very traditional set-in sleeves where you knit the body and then you pick up around the armhole and then you work the sleeve and you do a sleeve cap. That is a seamless set-in sleeve. This method has just like a little bit at the bottom of the page called a simultaneous set-in sleeve, and this is what I was looking for. And it's exactly this. You work the front and the back for a little tiny bit, and then you pick up at the shoulders, and then you work the sleeves as you work the body. And so it kind of ends up like a raglan. So you work it's a tiny bit fiddly for like 20 minutes when you work a little bit at the front and a little bit at the back and a little bit of short row shaping. I mean, she doesn't include short row shaping, but I included short row shaping because I like short row shaping. And then you pick up a little number of stitches around the sleeve gap, and then from there you start knitting out. Now I knit this at my favourite gauge. This is Sandnesgarn Lana, which I had left over from I bought loads of it and I made a toasted tank, and I still had enough left to make something else, and I thought, again, it's my wearable toile. I'll work it out from here, and this is where we're at. So it's going to be this very fun hot pink tee. It's going to be a bit more fitted and a bit more classic t-shirt style. It is, it's going to have to get some tweaks. The main tweak is that the head hole is way too small. I think I'll get my head in this hole, but like it's going to be tight, and so ultimately means that my shoulders are going to be too wide. And so I will need to pick up fewer stitches at the shoulders and like have more space here. And I'll also start working the increases for the neckline later so that the neck is deeper. So it'll be lower down at the front and a little bit wider on the sides. That's my only change so far, but we'll see how it goes. It's really fun now. It's just stockinette body in the round, and again, it requires my 4mm needles to work my sleeves. So hopefully I'll definitely have this finished for next time. I'm currently reading a really trashy romance, Regency romance novel, and so this is like my evening knitting. It's just getting some rows in whilst reading. I can only really read and knit if it's stockinette or ribbing, or I don't know, something very, very plain that's completely mindless. So that's been what this project has been. So yeah, it's not perfect. It's not a this summer pattern. It's definitely a next summer pattern if I can get that far. I'd like to knit another sample this summer. I have some visions. Of course I have some visions. I'll keep them under wraps for now because I want to make sure that I'm committed to this before I tell what they're going to be. But I do have some Illimani Sabri in a beautiful cobalt blue that is going to be sample 2. Maybe sample 3. It's my special yarn, so maybe I'll make another sample and then I'll come back to it. I'll probably do that. Because I want to make sure I get the neckline right before I use that yarn. But I'm excited to use it. I'm going to make a stripe version, and I'd like to make a version with some buttons. And that's all I'll say. So yeah, it's going. It should be fun, and it's a different construction method, but it's still got for so much of it, like from here all the way down to here, so for like all this yoke of knitting, you're only increasing for the arm, and then you start increasing for both, and it gets kind of into like compound raglan territory. And I've yet to try that part on. Like I tried it on, the armhole depth was fine. I've not tried it on properly to see how maybe I'll do that once I finish filming. Do I have a try-on cord here? I'm sure I have one somewhere. Yeah, so I think fit-wise it should be fine. It would support bust shaping well, which again, my Lusk Tee and my Toasted Tee both have bust shaping. I like the idea of having these like summery basics that you can make fit your body right. And yeah, I'm just really excited by it. But again, it's going to be something for next year, so it's a strange thing. I'm glad that I'm so far ahead. It means I can offer really long test knits. It means that things like, if I wanted to try and squeeze this out to get this out this year, I mean, I could make it work, right? But I couldn't have a 14-week test knit. I couldn't, like, I'm saying that at this, I'm probably gonna have three or four samples this summer before getting to a pattern that I'm happy with. And there's no time pressure on me. If it doesn't work, if my second sample doesn't work, I got like 8 months to work on the sample and get it right. So it means that I can really focus on like fit details are perfect. If I need to make multiple samples, I can make multiple samples. I'm not stressing myself out, and I can still give full time and attention to my current test knits, and I can run big long test knits for future tests. So it's the right way to go, even though I don't know if it's the right thing from a marketing perspective, because it does mean I'm just telling you about things that aren't going to appear for 12 months. In fact, probably more than 12 months, because I think at the earliest this would come out would be May 2026. Someone once told me, which is completely accurate, that I showed a pattern and they liked it so much that they just went off and bought a similar one from somewhere else. And because mine won't be out for 6 months, and like absolutely fair, like I get it. But this is YouTube, this is where I talk at length about what I'm currently working on. So there we go, I put it on a try on cord, so I will give that a try on after I finish filming. It's in this very cute bag that I bought from Merci, which I feel like I can't remember who it's from, but I feel like last time I talked about this, somebody else put it in the comments down below. It's a cute little quilted bag, and it's not really, like, I'm not a huge pastel flowery girl. It's not usually my vibe, but I love that the project is pink and it feels so spring-like that I like it, and it's so dinky. That has got, like, it's a small bag, I'd say. However, that's got all of that plus an extra full skein of yarn in there. So yeah, Sandnesgarn Lana is one of my preferred yarns. It works really well for the Tolsta. It works really well for this pattern anyway, and then the Lusk that comes out soon, it will work well for that too. It is a mix of, I talk about this like everyone knows what it is, so I should take a break and share what it is. It is 53% cotton, 33% viscose and 14% linen. It is 110 grams per 50 bot. It's 110 meters per 50 grams. And it has some really great colours. This, somebody might disagree with me, but this Drops Dell, King Cole Linendale, same yarn. It's all the same yarn. It's all some blend of cotton, viscose and linen, where it's like most, like 50-something% cotton, 30-something% viscose and something in the teens% linen. They all have slightly more. So one will be like 52 cotton, 35 viscose, 12 whatever. Like they're all a little different, but other than that they all look the same, they all knit up the same, they're all the same meterage. And I just pick and choose between them based on the colours. So I think that like Drops have some good basic colours. They've got a black and a white and some creams and some nice pastels. I think Sandnesgarn have like trendy brights, so they've got like a hot orange or like spicy orange, they've got lime green, they've got this hot pink, they've got a really like cherry red, and then Linendale doesn't really have much that the other two don't have, but I think it sits in the price between the two. Like this is almost, I think this is like almost 3 times as expensive as Drops Bell. I think Drops Bell is like £2.40 a ball, and this is like £5 a ball. The amount I use for a t-shirt still ends up being really cost effective, but that's my opinion that nobody asked for. Okay, I have one final whip. It's in my new bag. So this bag was it's the very first thing that I purchased at Woolly Gathering. It is from a maker who I believe is called Anna Untangled, and she was one of the people on the Garthenor stall. So I think it's the first time Garthenor came to Woolly Good. They're usually at unravel, and they usually have their whole room unravel, but they weren't unravel this year, and I don't know if that was a planned thing or if that was a sudden change of plans. I have no idea, I'm not in the loop, but they weren't at unravel, but they were at Really Good Gathering, so I hope that they had a good time and that people bought lots of yarn from them so they come back. But they also had some beautiful bags, and I walked in straight away and bought this bag. It also has some very cute, I love when this happens, I hate when you get a cute bag and the inside fabric is ugly, but the inside fabric is also very cute. So this is a project which I worked on all through Really Good and actually needs ripped out, but it is absolutely the lowest of the pile in terms of priority, so I've not gotten to it. I've done enough to take the needles out, and that's where we got to. So I am using, again, a new to me yarn, well, new to me-ish, Filcolana Merci, which is 50% superwash and 50% Pima cotton. Lovely to work with, really nice fabric. My last episode I shared this like square neck top that was a bit of a failure. I'm pretty sure I shared that last time, didn't I? It did not work out well, which is fine. It's going back to the drawing board. We'll consider it for future patterns. I still love the idea of a square neck summer tea and tank. But it needs a bit of time in the naughty corner. I used it for that in plain stockinette and it was really nice, and I'm using it again now for this. I don't know what colour this is. It's colour 602, but I don't know what the name is. It's like a sagey green. I like it a lot. So yeah, it's a bit weird because it's been unravelled, but I'll show you what I have. This is what I have. So what it is a very, again, I was talking in the beginning about being very inspired by crochet this year, and I feel like this stitch pattern does give crochet vibes. It is a combination of garter, yarn overs, and elongated stitches, and I love elongated stitches. They are so fun to work. It is similar to the first tee. I feel like I was trying to come up with like these were both in my head at the same time, and they're relatively similar in that they're different gauges, they're different yarns, but like garter and lace, v-neck, round neck, but they're both set in sleeves. They both have optional sleeve or vest options, so I feel like it was all just churning in my head at once, and these are the two things that spat back out, but they're like cousins, I guess. Different stitches, different gauge, v-neck, round neck, but otherwise like there are some similarities. So this is the stitch pattern. It is really fun. It knits up quite quickly, which I don't know if anyone else cares about that, but for me, summer is so short-lived in Scotland that I want a relatively quick knit, because by the time that I have knitted, it is no longer summer, and I should be committed enough that I'll be like, oh, well, I could wear it next year, but really I want to knit what I want to wear at the time. So yeah, that is it. The problem ultimately was I finished the body, and did I even block it? I don't think so. And it was a whopping 24 centimetre deep armhole, which is about 3 centimetres more than I wanted, which means the armhole around the way was about 6 centimetres more armhole than I needed. And because it's set in sleeve, it has armhole shaping on the fronts, both the fronts and the back. So I need to rip it all out to before the armhole shaping, and then I need to redo, and I joined in the body, not by very much, but I started the body that's been joined in the round. So I need to rip it back on the front, left, front, right and the back. Oh, this one's open as well, so it's like a cardigan style with like some ties, not like a t-shirt. So yeah, I need to rip it out, redo the underarm shaping and redo the body. I think what I would like to do is get this to a place where I've knit enough that I have a full sample this year and then come back to it next year, but my motivation for it is gone a little bit in a minute because it's wrong. Oh, and I think I have too many stitches on the fronts. I took this to Really Good Gathering, which was lovely, and it was quite a nice project to work on. However, I was sitting chatting whilst working v-neck shaping and underarm shaping, and I think that was probably a dangerous move. I think I would have gotten better results had I done that when I was paying proper attention. So those are all my works in progress. There's more stuff in that, like I've got a few winter whips that I've not really touched on yet. That are kind of like long-term whips that I'm kind of, like, there's no point in me showing them because they've had very little progress since last time, but everything is churning, and it's kind of a bit weird because at this point I technically have, I think, just about enough design ideas to get me through everything for the rest of this year is pretty much done. There might be a December pattern, maybe, and then I have a couple patterns in late like my late winter ones I don't have yet, but that's fine because I'll get inspired when the cold weather comes and I want to make things for that. And then next summer I already have some patterns for, which I think is especially nice for summer because, again, like I said, summer is quite short-lived and it always feels like you're under a bit of a time crunch to get summer patterns out. So having my patterns ready and written and graded and just even testing it will make that easier. So those are my whips. I have the festival I went to and I got some acquisitions, so I'll get into that. I wanted to, before that though, I got a lovely letter this week and I shared it on Instagram. I should have grabbed it. It's on my pinboard in my office. It is from the Fistula Foundation. So the Fistula Foundation is a charity that I've supported for the last couple of years with my December pattern release. However, in the past I've donated to them as an individual. So I made the donation as Rebecca, and this year I donated, and because of that I've always donated through like a platform like Just Giving, because as an individual in the UK you can get gift aid, which is where the government will match part of your donation if you're a UK taxpayer. Since the start of 2024 I've been an incorporated business, very fancy, and so this is the first year that I could make a donation. Like December 2024 was the first year that I did the charity launch as a business, where my sales income was going into the business and not directly to me. And so I made the donation as a business, so I made it directly on their website, and that must have set off some alarm bells because they were like, who's this person donating money to us? So they sent me an amazing letter that was signed by the CEO, where they informed me that because of, I must have been the window I made the donation, and this is actually kind of a mistake. Well, not a mistake, but it just took me a while to get around to it. I'm always behind in my counting. I'm always behind in the numbers. So I didn't make my donation until the end of February of 2025, despite the pattern launch running until the end of December. So I was like a month and a bit late. I had some issues where I kept trying to make it and the website kept crashing. So it took me like 3 weeks to actually get the donation in. But in doing that, I must have caught their window where some people had made donations for International Women's Day. And so I made an $8,850 donation, which was, the pattern sales were then matched by me, and then I transferred, that was the equivalent in USD. My number was in British pounds, but that was the exchange rate when I made the donation. There was an anonymous donation made for International Women's Day where somebody matched that donation. So the $8,850 donation turned into like a £17,000 donation, which is really, really cool. So technically, if you bought a pattern 4 times the amount of, it was for the Staffin shawl, which came out in December, 4 times the amount that you donated it got matched. So I doubled it, and then that donation was doubled again. So that's just, I thought it was really cool to share. I thought if you'd bought a pattern you might want to know that. And they reached out and said like, this is amazing, like thank you so much to the knitters, that's so special. And they've also reached out and asked me to like speak with them about what I do, and like they want to do like a feature on it. I thought it would be nice to wait until later this year because I'll have a charity pattern this year again, and it will go to them as well. And they were like, oh wait, so I spoke to them and said, yeah, I've actually made donations in the past, and they were like, oh yeah, cool, like they just get the Just Giving money in bulk when it comes from Just Giving. So it was the first time I donated, and it had knocked some alarm bells off. But I thought it was really special. I thought I would share it with everyone. I didn't expect a letter at all. They sent me in a letter beforehand that was like a circular, and that was their investment report. And they call it their investment report because they want people to feel like when they donate to it, they're donating in an effective way. But then to get a handwritten letter, well, it was a typed letter with a handwritten note, just saying about the donation being matched, and like thank you so much to all the knitters, and it was signed with the CEO. So I had a little cry. That came maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday this week. I had a little cry. It was quite special, but I just wanted to share that in case anyone had bought a pattern. Technically, if you bought, I think it was a £5 pattern, £20 was donated by me matching, and then that whole amount be matched again. Really cool. I'm pretty sure that this year's pattern will be a set of accessories for the Kintra. So it'll come out sometime in November, and anyone that purchases it until the end of the year will get, well, that money will be donated. I don't know what it's going to include. I think a hat and a scarf and a pair of socks is the plan, but I've not thought about that much yet, just that I know that'll come out then because it'll be perfect for Advent season. Cool. Let's talk about Wicked Gathering. I have a bag. I bought another bag, also from Garth and Or. I will say, I have a little bit of It's not a regret, but I don't like when a bag has short handles. I thought it was like a proper tote bag, and to be honest, it will go on my shoulder. But it's mostly going to be for storing things because this is awkward. I thought it was going to be... It's beautifully screen printed. I just wish it had longer straps. I could replace the straps, but that feels like a lot of work. So let me talk about it, and then I'll talk about my acquisition. So the Woolly Good Gathering is a yarn festival held in Edinburgh in April. They have not announced 2026 yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. Last year it was at an incredible venue called Summer Hall, which is an artist's, a real artist hub. But that venue has gone through a host of issues in the past year. It was going to go up for sale. It didn't go up for sale. There was like all these tax issues. The monies were, like the accounts were frozen, all those things. So Woolly Good Gathering moved to a different location this year. But it was still held in April in Scotland. And it was such a nice weekend. I don't know if it's because... Is it just that I think it's a very, very special festival in that it's organised by... There are 5 organisers. And that is 2 publications, 2 yarn makers and a designer. And so I feel like these people, 4 of the 5 organisers had a stall there. So the 2 magazines and the 2 yarn vendors both had stalls. They've vended before, and so they know from a vendor perspective what is needed. So I think I always hear, like, whenever I've spoken to a vendor who's vended it really good, they've only got good things to say. And then they do like consider, it's, I feel like a lot, there's a bit of a copy, like a cut and paste for a lot of yarn festivals, and I feel like they didn't cut and paste. I feel like they start to the beginning, like, okay, we want an event, we want it to be about community, what else? So like, yes, we'll have a marketplace, but like we need to have a big space for people to sit and be able to knit and talk. Lovely. We want to be able to have designs shown off. We want to have, there's massages. We want to have tasty food that's there. And so I feel like they really, I don't know, I've been to other festivals where they're in the middle of nowhere and you're like traipsing through some middle of nowhere town trying to find something to eat for lunch to go and sit somewhere outside because there's no real seating area indoors, or you're scrabbling for a seat, and like those things just aren't there. So that was really lovely. And I think that that is then amplified by the fact that it is in Edinburgh, it's in my home city. So I feel a lot of ownership over it. And every corner that I turn, I know someone, which is also really lovely. So like I knew just about every vendor. Like there were definitely vendors that I'd never spoken to before. But there were so many vendors that I know and that I love, and my entire knit night was there, I think. So like you turn a corner, I'd be like, oh, there's knit night. Oh, there's such and such. Oh, there's such and such. There were some people who I know are in Edinburgh that I don't see as often, who like maybe go to other knit nights, or I don't know, I don't see them super often, but I see them when they come to yarn festivals, or people from Scotland who are further afield who I don't see on a regular basis but do see for yarn festivals. And then really special, there were some people who had travelled in. So Katrin, of the designer of the heirloom quilt cardigan, had come all the way from Ohio. She was on a family holiday and they'd made it work around the festival. The lovely woolen twine from Germany had come. I'm gonna get this wrong because so many people travelled in and I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss people that came. Jess from the Merci, who I actually didn't speak to, and I was really excited to speak to and somehow missed her. She travelled, so it was really nice the people that travelled in for it, and it's nice that Woolly Good has kind of put itself on the map a little bit. And yeah, I hope it just goes from strength to strength. I felt, like I say, a lot of ownership over the festival, even though I can take none of the credit. I did none of the organising. I rocked up on both days, but I was so proud of how well it went. And I just hung out for 2 days, which was really nice. Had some really nice lunch. On the first day I taught a workshop. I taught an intarsia workshop and it went really well. I was a little bit nervous. I've done quite a lot of teaching before, like facilitation of workshops and things in a more corporate setting, but I have never taught an in-person knitting workshop. And I was prepped to the nines, but I was a little bit nervous about how it would go. And I should have been nervous because everyone that came to my class was so nice. And it felt really nicely. Everyone was very chatty and we had a good time. It was like a Friday afternoon, like late afternoon slot. So I think everyone had a kind of full day of yarn chopping and wandering. So we just sat and we learned some intarsia. I think I like teaching intarsia, but I'm being honest, some people just don't like intarsia, and you want everyone to leave the class feeling empowered. And some people were like, well, I get it, but like I'm not doing this ever again because I don't like how many yarn balls there are and things like that. So I I don't know if the subject matter is something I'd rush to teach again. I submitted a couple of options and that was the one that was chosen, and it was a really nice flow of the class, and it was really easy to build up levels of difficulty, starting very simply and making it much harder. And it also meant that people who got stuck could stay at the beginning, or like could progress more slowly, whereas people who it clicked for could they were like designing their own motifs and like writing their own charts by the end. So that was really nice, but I'm not sure I'd do Intarsia again. Or maybe I would, and I just have to accept the fact that not everyone's going to like the technique. I'm sure that must happen with things like I know brioche is also controversial. How would you feel if you took a class and you understood the technique but you didn't like the technique? Would you still feel like the class had been worth it? And did you still have a good time? I'm not sure. But that was so lovely. And I went to the social on the evening of the first night, and I had my samples there. They have what they call the designer atelier, which is where they just invite designers to bring the designs and they print out. My cardigan was in the bag, so I have my tag still. I probably should wash it because I'm sure people tried it on. So there's like a cute little tag they put on them all, and then I submitted a form with some information. So it has my name, it has the weight of the garment, it has the yardage, the sizing, and then 2 QR codes, one to my website, one to Ravelry. So I submitted them all in advance. I took 8 samples with me and just hung them up on the racks. And the first thing I did on Saturday morning was I got in the venue and I went upstairs and I counted my samples. I felt like leaving my children overnight at a sleepover. Are they still there? They were all still there. So yeah, it was so nice. It was such a nice festival, and I spoke to so many lovely people. And if I spoke to anyone that is watching, then I hope you had a good time too. And if you're thinking about I was watching Needles at the Ready a few weeks ago, and they were talking about coming to Unravel, and I think Unravel's a lovely festival. I wouldn't say don't go to Unravel. I think if you want pure community, a really tight-knit community that you can very visibly see at the festival, and people who know each other, and a very friendly, open atmosphere, plus a really great city to visit, I would say go and follow Woolly Good Gathering and look out for their dates for next year. April's a good time to visit Edinburgh. It's not too busy. The tourist season is just starting. The weather is temperamental, but you might get sunshine. And it's hands down my favourite festival. It's gone on the map of my favourite by far. I've not been to that many, let's be clear, but it's definitely up there. And I did a workshop, but I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I just really like supporting them, and I think it's funny, I want to put my support behind something like this. It's a community event, it's local to me, it supports the local economy, it supports the local knitters, it supports a lot of local Scottish vendors, and they just keep doing things in a way that I want to support, if that makes sense. So they keep making decisions that I agree with, and I feel I don't think the venue this year was as good as the venue last year, and I think they're going to look for a new venue for next year, and I think the venue led to some limitations. However, I know that they're constantly trying to improve and make it a better experience for everyone, for the vendors, for the people attending, and they'll go out of their way to make it better, and I like that. They have a real growth mentality, which I really like. So yeah, come to Edinburgh next year. Maybe if people come to Edinburgh, I hate the idea of doing a meet and greet, it's so not my vibe. But maybe in the way that Rhinebeck has sprung up tangential events, maybe there'll be something like that. Maybe we'll do a tangential event at Ginger Twist or something. I say that I'll just walk up to Ginger Twist and be like, hey, can I host an event at your yarn shop? But it'll be less chaos than hosting at my house. So I bought some things. I bought a little bit more than I planned to buy. I had a little bit in mind. I bought one thing that I had planned, and then my bags were, I kind of told myself if I want to buy a bag, I can buy a bag, because I love project bags and they don't count as yarn, so it feels like it counts. And then I bought one thing I was not planning to buy at all. So let's start with you see my 2 bags. I got my project bag here from Anna Untangled, who was on the Garthenor stall, and I bought that at the same time as my Garthenor bag, which also has Garthenor. And here is the yarn. So Jamieson's and Smiths were there, which is pretty cool. They came last year, but they came last year because somebody pulled out last minute and there was a last minute spot, and so they came along. They don't really do festivals, so it's quite exciting to see them. And they brought, of course, their yarn wall of all their colours, which is very cool to see. So I bought some of the Shetland Heather, which is Aran weight. Am I going to say that correctly? It is 92 meters per 50 grams, so a pretty chunky yarn. I think this would make a good yarn option for my sweater without mohair. So I was there with Maggie and Rebecca, who are mother-daughter combo, who are featured in many of my pattern pictures because they do so many tests for me. And Maggie loves everything blue and Rebecca loves everything like mermaid, rainbow, unicorn coloured, and I'm generally more of a neutrals girl, so I was standing there and being like, guys, help me. So between the three of us we picked out some colours, and I think I did not go as colourful as they would have pushed me to. I kind of stuck a couple of neutrals in there. But the pattern, I think the second sample will take 3 colours, and I bought 5. And I thought between these 5 I could find a colour combination that I like. So I think that either the navy or the beige will be my main colour. And then I kind of like the idea of like maybe these 3. But also like these 3 is nice. And then also like these 3. Like they all work in some combination, and I could use a 4th colour. So I bought 5 of those. They're like £6 a ball, so they're not crazy cheap. They're not like drops cheap, or like, I'm trying to think what else. They're not Cascade cheap. No, not Cascade cheap. But they're not far off. It would be about, yeah, £12 for 100 grams, and I reckon I probably don't even know how many balls I'd used, to be honest. I'd have to do the math. I've not even weighed this one, and I did not keep track of my yardage throughout, so I'm gonna have to collect all of my half-used balls, work out how much yarn I ordered in total, and do some maths to work backwards, which is not going to be fun, but it's my own fault for not weighing things as I go. So that was what I got. I got them on the second morning, and I wanted to go and get them, but it was super busy on the first day, so I didn't worry too much about that. And then I was influenced to buy some coloured mohair. So I feel like this is having a moment, like a moment in like trends, and like a lot of like Scandi patterns are really leaning into this, and I probably should cast it on because it's very Easter coloured. This is from Mamie and Flory, who I've seen at quite a lot of shows. I saw them at Unravel, and I guess I must have seen them at Glasgow School of Yarn. I actually have no idea where they're based. I can't remember. York, maybe, but I could be making it up. I have a good friend who is a knitter, but like not a big knit, like mostly a potter, does a little bit of knitting, who knows the person behind the dye of this directly. Like she knows her not through knitting. They know each other through like a mutual friend. And I was convinced when I couldn't remember that, I forgot that connection. So the first time I saw Mamie and Flory, I thought, are you in Cambridge? Because that is where my friend lives. And she's like, oh no, I'm not in Cambridge. And I was like, where am I getting this Cambridge thing from? And I remembered it. And so I went to this time and I was like, oh, you must know my friend such and such. And she's like, oh, you get, like, what a small world, I can't believe you know each other. So we always have such great chats. I bought yarn from her at the Glasgow School of Yarn that I've still not used. So I'm determined that I cannot, and I have 4 skeins of her yarn. I need to knit some up before I buy any more. But I just was having a moment for like the neon mohair. I want to knit a basic sweater holding a strand of this. I've only got 2 of this, so it will either be a long sleeve Tulsa, a long sleeve Lusk, or a long sleeve set in sleeve version of my pattern with a plain white yarn like a Cascade probably, or like a Drops Lima, something like that. It is 64% kid mohair, 36% silk. It is the colour Northern Quarter Manchester. Two things I love about this brand. One is they have what 3 words on the back, is that what it's called? Which is like a grid reference that will get you within a very, if you're looking for someone and you both have what 3 words, it will generate 3 words and that will take you to the exact place they are, which is better. Like location sharing isn't so specific, but it's good for, I don't know, like a festival or something. You could tell someone your 3 words and they'll find you, and it's a very small box. And all of her yarn has a what 3 words on it. The one for this is Snake Metro Youth. And those 3 words will get you exactly to the location that the yarn is inspired by, which is Northern Quarter in Manchester, which I've never been to, I don't think. I've been to Manchester, but I don't think I've been to Northern Quarter. That's the first thing. The second thing I love is that she's big into trend forecasting, and so she goes to like different Scandinavian countries and like sees what people are wearing on the streets. And I think that's where the trend for colourful mohair is coming from. If I think about people like Strikkefeber, who I think are in Norway, they have a lot of chunky hand-dyed mohair that's like very in at the moment. And so I'm pretty sure she's going to Oslo soon just to like soak up the trends and see what's happening and see how far behind Scandinavia we are with our fun takes. So I thought that was really cool. I like that way of, it's a sort of way I operate. Like I like the idea of not just dyeing what you like, but like I try to pick, if I can't think about a colour for something, I'll look at like the next season's trend reports to see what colours are trending, to help me pick colours and things. So I think that was a cool way of looking at things. So that was an unexpected purchase, but I'm pleased with it. I've not looked at it since I bought it, and I've opened it now and I'm really pleased with it. So that's nice. I'm excited to cast this on. Maybe it'll be like a roll board cast on if I can get my 3 winter projects done. If I can get my Henley, my cable knit, and my... Just my Henley cable knit now. Just 4 sleeves in it, and then I can cast that on. So that is everything. Personally, what's going on? A lot. It's been a couple of very busy personal months, but I think we might be at the tail end of it, which is quite a nice way of being with things. I'm getting so excited for summer. We will hopefully have our little boat back in the water very soon. Hopefully by the end of the month, or this time next month, our boat should be back in the water. So I'm looking forward to getting some sailing in, which would be nice. We were going to this weekend celebrate the first birthday of the young puppy Nuggle. However, Nug injured his tail. It's very common with Labradors, but he got what's called swimmer's tail or a limber tail, and it's where the tail like seizes up. And we have no idea how it happened. He does a lot of swimming outside, and he's a very excitable dog, so he does a lot of tail wagging. So we knew it was always an option, like a risk, I guess. But he woke up with it one day this week, so we went on his walk, and we realised on the walk how bad it was. So we went, not how bad, but we realised that it was an issue on his walk. So we took him straight to the vet, and he's got some pain meds, but we had a fun day planned with all of his favourite things, which were seeing all of his favourite people and going on lots of swims, and he can't do either of those things, and the pain meds he's got upset his tummy, or they can upset his tummy, so Sam was going to go to the butcher and get him some glamorous piece of off-cut meat, but we can't do that either because it's got his poor tum. So we're going to have to postpone his birthday weekend until next weekend maybe. So yeah, we're just having a quiet time, and we're going to have a little lunch today with my parents, which I'm looking forward to, and that's about everything. I started working on a new project, but I have no updates on it whatsoever. I'm just very excited about it. So there's no point in me talking about it, but if there are project updates, I will share more. But it is a fun, creative outlet that I'm currently obsessing about. We'll see. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I'm so glad I got this edited and film. I feel so much better for it. And yeah, I'll hopefully get this up today, later on today. And yeah, that's all my works in progress. Hopefully I've got a little bit of progress by the next time I film. Get some of these summer projects done and off my needles and ready to wear. And I mean, I think we're going to have miserable, cold, rainy weather for the next week, but potentially once we get past that, we can start. Let's see, we've got rain for the next, oh, not too bad. Rain for 1, 2, 3, 7 of the next 10 days. Yay, summer knitting. Thank you very much for spending some time with me. I'll be back in 2 weeks. I will have a test call and I'll have a passive release then. And until then, I'll just be doing lots of knitting. Hope you enjoy. Bye.